In 2023, I spent over $100,000 on coaches, courses, programs, and masterminds, and there were 4 lessons that I learned from it. One of the lessons was pretty brutal, and I wish I didn't have to spend $100,000 to learn it, but I'm going to share it with you just so that you can avoid the mistakes that I made. If you don't know who I am yet, my name is Dan Begniak. I show coaches and consultants how to add an extra $100,000 to $250,000 in monthly recurring revenue into their business. We've worked with people like Bastion's Law, Brian Page, and other 7- and 8-figure brands that you'd likely recognize, and we've generated them millions of dollars over the course of working with them. And now I'm documenting the journey of scaling my business to over $1 million per year while sharing the insights that I'm learning from this journey as well as from the clients that we work with. Now, the first lesson, and this is the most brutal lesson that I've learned from spending over 100 grand on coaches, is that investing into coaches and masterminds might be hindering you more than it's helping you. And what I mean by that is that it's easy to outsource your thinking and your decision making when you pay someone to give you the solution that you think that they have. And that is the wrong way to go about it. You don't go into a coaching relationship thinking that they have all the solutions, that they have all the answers for you. You're there picking it apart, seeing what's working, seeing what's not, just so that you can get closer to your outcome. The problem with outsourcing your decision making and outsourcing your thinking is that you completely suffocate your intuition. I've had this experience where I've gotten to a point where I would ask the coach, I would ask my mentors what they would think before I actually started taking action. I would ask them every single little thing instead of just taking the action and then learning from the mistakes from it. It sounds ridiculous, but you almost have this sense of entitlement when you pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to somebody to help you, and then you feel like they almost should be making all the calls in your business. But again, that is not the case. That is the number one biggest mistake I've made. That is the number one lesson I've learned from investing 100 grand into coaches, is that you might be suffocating your intuition. The geniuses out there are geniuses because they realize, consciously or unconsciously, that the answers are already within them. They have intentional time to sit with their thoughts. They have intentional time to go on walks and to just think and problem solve by themselves without relying on external sources. The goal with your business is to create yourself into this wise person that's able to think for themselves. I was chatting to one of our 8-figure clients, and we're actually talking about this, where most business owners just can't think for themselves, and then they'll invest into something and then they'll just non-stop ask for opinions inside the program. Again, this happened to me. This is a harsh lesson that I had to learn, but the people that you're investing into are not there to hold your hand. They're just there to guide you. They don't have the answer that you're looking for unless you intentionally already understand what you're looking for yourself. So the important takeaway here is that you have to build that intuition yourself. Yes, seek guidance. Yes, get opinions from other people, but make your own decisions. Think for yourself, build up your intuition, make mistakes. That's the thing. If you want to truly develop your intuition, then you have to actually make mistakes, because how are you going to discern the right from the wrong if you've never experienced the wrong? So key thing is, don't rely on other people to give you the answers that you're looking for. Figure it out yourself, get guidance from other people, but then go through the motions, gain that experience, gain that wisdom, and become an independent thinker. The number 2 lesson I learned is that you cannot solve a non-existent problem just by throwing money at it. And what I mean by this is that you have to get clear what the bottleneck is before you invest into coaches, consultants, masterminds, whatever it is. I've done this again multiple times where I would invest into something and I would just expect to figure something out. I was going into it with a perspective that I would just pick out a golden nugget out of there and then my life would be solved. That is not the case. If you don't have a bottleneck, if you don't have a problem that you know exists, that you know needs to be solved, don't get guided. Because if you do, again, you're going to feel entitled. You're going to feel like the person you're investing into has the ability to save your business, to save your life. That is not the case. You have to understand what it is that you're fixing before you get into any relationship. And the hard thing with this is that we're all so positively reinforced to investing into ourselves and then getting guidance from other people. But again, to go off of my last point of you're suffocating your intuition if you're constantly relying on other people and their inputs. And the second thing is, if you don't have a problem, then that's okay. You don't have to necessarily invest in yourself, invest in a coach, invest in a program. Yes, there are bottlenecks. Yes, there are blind spots. If you are not clear on the number one bottleneck that you're solving, don't invest in anything, or else you're just going to end up wasting your time. You're going to end up wasting your money. There's going to be a large opportunity cost between what you could have done with that time and money had you just reviewed your own business and figured out, okay, what is the number one thing that's holding me back from going from point A to point B? At the end of the day, you can't help yourself if you don't know what problem you're solving, and other people can't solve your problems if you don't know what problem you're solving. It's pretty self-explanatory, it's pretty obvious, but again, when you do pay $5, $10, $15, $30,000 to these people, it can become super easy to feel entitled to the fact that they know the solutions, they know the answers that you don't, but unless you know what you're looking for, you're not going to get it. If you understand what the problem is, like for example, let's say you're having issues with your ads are too expensive, you're getting terrible lead quality, and you're just not booking consistent calls. Sure, get guidance. At that point, it's a very clear bottleneck that ads are limiting you from scaling. So get guidance. Figure out who can help you with your ads so that you can solve that problem and then get to the next level. But if you're just stuck and you don't know why, and you have no clue as to why your business is not progressing, then don't invest. You're gonna have to take responsibility for your own business, for your own life, and figure out exactly what is stopping you from achieving the next level. The third lesson I learned is have one coach for one industry. Don't try to learn from too many people at once, otherwise you're gonna get confused and you're gonna get conflicting advice. This happened to me multiple times where I've invested in multiple business coaches at once, and I'll get an idea from one, I'll take it to the next, they'll poke holes in it, then I'll go back to the first one, they'll poke holes in the holes that they poked, and it becomes this massive mess where you get stuck in analysis paralysis because you become almost incapable of thinking for yourself. You just don't do anything, you don't take any action. So focus on one person that can help you with that one problem and just focus on that. Don't try and mix and match coaches and consultants, or else you're just gonna get confused and you're gonna stall yourself even more. Now, I know some of these lessons have almost insinuated that investing in yourself is not a good thing. That is not what I'm saying at all, because the fourth point that I learned, and this took me over a year to realize, is that you're not just paying for results, you're paying for insights. At the end of the day, if you get just one idea, it could pay for itself. So for example, there are two ideas that I already know that will pay for themselves. Number one is that I can create a leveraged offer. This sounds very obvious, but as a freelancer, as an agency owner, it was very easy for me to get stuck in the thought that I always had to do done for you work. But I figured out a way to basically package my knowledge and deliver it to people so that they can implement them themselves, and I just consult on a higher level. I might have known that on a high level, especially from the clients that we work with, but it never sunk into me until I actually saw someone break it down in front of me. The second thing is incentives. It's not just a percent of revenue or percent of profit, percent of ROAS, whatever it is. You can actually charge based on different outcomes. For me, the realization was that I could charge per call booked, and the incentives would be a lot more aligned between me and the client. Instead of me charging a percent of their business, a percent of their revenue or profit, which feels like I'm taking a cut out of them, which feels like I'm almost becoming like a partner in their business. And again, this is a different topic, but most people are a little bit more hesitant to give up a percent of the business versus just paying you a fixed amount for a certain deliverable, for a certain outcome. In my case, with the work that we do, it's calls booked. So if I could charge a fixed amount per call booked, that idea pays for itself. So that's what I mean, is you're not just coming into these courses, masterminds, and coaching relationships just expecting a result. You're going in there to collect insights. You're going in there to change the way that you think, because when you change the way that you think, you start to act differently. And when you act differently, you create new experiences. And those new experiences create wisdom. And at the end of the day, this is what entrepreneurship and running a business is all about. It's about stacking experiences. It's about stacking that wisdom. That way you can become a better thinker and make better decisions for yourself and your business years down the line. So if you didn't get a result from one of the courses, coaches, or masterminds that you've invested in, don't think that it's wasted money. Chances are those things have changed the way that you think. They've changed the way that you act. And all of those things build you up as a business owner, brick by brick. You're not going to see results after, a few months, after a year. You're only going to notice that skyscraper that got built brick by brick 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line. One thing I always repeat to myself is that everything happens for a reason. There are lessons to be learned from every single situation. And if you've lost your money and you didn't get an ROI in one of the programs that you've invested in, there's a lesson to be learned. There's something in there that is going to teach you to be a better thinker down the line. So yeah, those are the 4 lessons that I've had to learn over the course of over a year and after spending $100,000. They're pretty unconventional, and I'm not saying to not invest in coaches, courses, or masterminds, but I'm just saying you have to go at it with intention. I'm just saying the best course of action is to go into it with intention. Optimize for guidance rather than having someone hold your hand along the way. If you're already aware that you have a bottleneck and you know what the answer is to that bottleneck, but you just don't have the skill set or the knowledge to bridge that gap, then find someone that can do it. But if you don't know the bottleneck that you're solving, you don't know the solution that you're going after, then you're likely not going to get it by investing into somebody else. Because how do you find something when you don't even know what you're looking for? Some food for thought.